Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well. And today I actually wanted to talk about the three relationship traps we can fall into. Now, they are not very typical. I'm not going to talk about some, very surface things or just random, just obvious things. It's just something that I've been led to do and talk about. So throughout, of course, your experience with different types of relationships, especially romantic, you start to realize that this is number one, values. Values really fucking matter. And if the person you're with does not have values in general, they don't have to all match yours. Of course, some do. The most important ones definitely you want to match with. But even if they just don't really, and trust me, you would be surprised how many people don't really have them, right? They just really don't know. They don't know who they are. They don't have a set foundational value to how they approach life. Then yours will just simply never match theirs, especially if theirs are not there. So when you are with someone and you don't realize they don't have values, or their values are kind of unstable, or they're just confused on what they are, when the relationship starts unfolding and you reach certain precipices or just forks in the road or problems or arguments, or just you reach a point where you are in a bad place in the relationship, it starts to really, because the relationship is something you start with from the surface and you keep going deeper, right? So when you're in deeper and you start to not match each other, or you're just literally at a crossroads with each other, that's when values kick in, right? So because the rest has been unraveled. All the other crap that is not truly a foundation will go away sooner or later. So it will unravel and fall apart. So when everything falls apart, what I think keeps people together is their values, and who they are, of course, as a person. But if yours are not matching, no, there's no way. And it is about the person. It is about something more spiritual, like who their, what their soul is like, their true nature and who they really are. So of course you don't always know that in the beginning. But values is number one. Number two is chemistry and physical attraction, being as the foundation of the relationship. That's a big one. That's a trap. That's how a lot of relationships start, right? And that's fair enough, right? Fair game. That's how you actually know you like someone, on the very tip of the iceberg. So you're looking at them and you're like, okay, I like, I have chemistry with them. I'm attracted. I have this. But how long is that going to last, right? And it can last. And that's an incredible feat to be able to prolong that. But when you do that, it's kind of a surface love. It's kind of a transient love. It's a love based on attraction and chemistry, which, again, it's kind of more temporary and it will fade. And it's kind of almost like puppy love, and a lot of us have really, I guess, been through life with still continuing to see it that way and continue to go about it that way. So you feel like you fall in love. Like a lot of people I've talked to, myself, people I've literally advised and mentored, have that love for years, right? You keep going with it. But after a while, it will again, like the first one, everything else will unravel. So what will be left? Is the question. What is left? And I think it's about falling in love, infatuation, and it really takes your mind. You're on a high. It's a drug. You guys, love is a drug. Chemistry, infatuation is a drug. True love is actually, I think, something different. But regardless, you are drawn to them. Your mind is literally in the clouds. You're feeling good. You're high. You're high. And when you're high, you can't see the person for who they are. You know, you can fantasize and idealize, and that's a phase we all go through in the beginning. But when you learn that, I think in repairing this like break in between heart and mind, we can maybe marry the two, you know, the heart and the mind, and say, okay, I'm holding back a little bit, be more skeptical a little bit. Don't act out of fear ever, of course. You know, don't run away, you know, but the balance needs to be there. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to have that balance and that little ounce of skepticism. You know, you need to put that salt in that food. You can't just, you know, take it with a grain of salt and go for it, but let yourself be in a balanced state of mind, and you'll be able to navigate this thing a little bit better. Because I think a lot of us will idealize someone for years, and we crave that high, we crave that love, but it really comes down to my third point, which is, you know, their wounds and the foundation of the relationship. What is the foundation? So chemistry as a foundation, you know, that's a little bit of a trap. That's a trap. That's, it's going to unravel, because as the more you go through a relationship, and it depends what you're seeking as well, but the deeper you go, even if you're not looking for it, the relationship will unfold. The layers will be peeled, whether you want it or not. So you might as well find someone who matches you as a spirit, you know, as a human being, deeply, because the layers will be peeled, and you will get to that point anyway. And if you don't find something in that core, then the relationship will break. My third one, which I mentioned briefly just recently, just now, I said something about wounds. And I don't mean wounds as, oh my goodness, you know, this foundation is not good. I mean, the trap we can fall into is we don't accept people for who they are. And that's not love. Number one. Number two is their wounds are part of their past, part of their life. And if you're not willing to deal with their wounds in the beginning, get this, later in your relationship, and I've said this before, and I've said this to people, you know, to partners, and I said, okay, so what? You want me to be perfect? Okay, we're together. You want me to hold it together? Great. But get this. If I'm sharing, I don't know, a period of time with you, or my life, if you're talking about long term, then you have to be willing to be there for someone and to support them through the wounds they have. Because if you want someone perfect in the beginning, guess what? Something in life is bound to happen that will hurt them deeply. And it doesn't have to be you. You know, people get sick all the time, accidents happen, tragedies, etc. Not to be extreme, but they do. It's part of life. So if you're not willing to do that in the beginning, you're not willing to do it later either. That's just what I think. And that's maybe something we all need to work on, is not being afraid of their wounds, of the other person's wounds. And we all have them anyway. So whether you're choosing to neglect the wounds, or you're not, we all have them. So might as well face that. Like I said, if nothing is now, if this person is good now, sooner or later they will have something that will deeply fuck them up. Pardon my French. So where are you going to be there? See, there it goes back to values, or it goes back to the foundation. It goes back to the beginning for me. What I said is, because the foundation, if you're not in it to win it, or in it to stay unconditionally, then you're wasting your time, basically, is what I think, okay? No offense, but if you're not there unconditionally, and I'm not saying, you guys know, abuse is wrong, narcissism is wrong, drama, whatever, all these different aspects of relationships that are hurting you, oh yeah, that's, you have to have boundaries and draw the line. Draw the line. But that goes back to number one, your values. What are your values? Match the person or don't, but you won't be able to run away from a person's wounds and your own. You can't. And like I said, again, if you're looking for that Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, whatever, you're not going to find a perfect individual in this life. Bob Marley said, what is it? Everyone's going to hurt you. You just have to find the one worth suffering for. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, you guys. I hope this helped. I was inspired to talk about this. We're all kind of universally going through stuff, so be kind to each other and love yourselves. Thank you for watching / listening. Bye.